Alright guys, welcome in. I just wanted to do a little reaction to the early bowl games that have been going on. I think there's 6 or 7 games I can react to. There were 2 games yesterday. There's around 4 games today, and then I might throw some other crap into this video and just react to other stuff that I see on the ESPN app and everything that's going on in sports right now. Because there's a lot of college basketball going on and stuff like that. And some NFL. And guys, I've been nailing the NFL. It's crazy. But the first game, guys, I think we deserve a refund. This is so sad what's happened to college football. UAB beats Miami of Ohio, but UAB's only good offensive player, we don't know anything, but right on game day, he's opting out. Dwayne McBride, who led the NCAA in rushing, averaged 7.5 yards per carry. It's so sad. The Bahamas Bowl, UAB still wins. I said to take UAB minus 11 because I assumed he was going to play. I mean, if we've got UAB players opting out, getting ready for the draft, folks, this is disturbing. Oh, it's sad. But Miami of Ohio just does not have a good offense. And even without really UAB can't throw. That's the problem. They cannot pass the ball, and they end up winning. The backup running back does okay, I guess, 24 for 116. Oh, they had a receiver that had a really nice game as well. So they win by 4 points. And then Troy ends up beating UTSA. A disappointing result. But guys, I've never seen a team drop so many passes. I was watching the ESPN highlights. UTSA. I mean, my goodness. Troy had 130 yards of total offense and they won. I knew Troy's offense was not good enough. UTSA gifts them a free 7 points on a turnover when they were going in to score. Frank Harris, the interception, they return it. UTSA should have won this game, guys. I don't know what happened. It's one of those, it's improbable. You take a look at the yardage. UTSA, 345 total yards. Troy had 153. Total yards throughout the entire game. That's not one half. That is the entire game. How do you have 153 total yards, but 17 first downs? What are the calculations on that? They must have gotten sacked 20 times. But it's disappointing. UTSA lets us down there. Louisville beats Cincinnati 24-7. You know, the under. I don't think that's another bet of the century. Guys, remember my bet of the century back that Stanford home game? I think it was Stanford, Arizona State. That was the bet of the century, the under, and it hit. This was another one. I took one look at Fenway Park. It was 10:50 in the morning. There were 30 people there. And I tweeted it out. I said, listen, there's no way this game goes over. And it looked like it was going to go over somehow. It was, 21-7 at half. But 3 total points get scored in the second half. Louisville wins. Nobody really knew if Louisville or Cincinnati were going to win without their starting quarterback. The only thing that we knew, the under was going to hit. And I guess good for Louisville getting Jeff Brom, his alma mater. He's coming home, and they have a little bit of momentum, even without Malik Cunningham missing that game, and I think heading off for the NFL draft. They end up winning that game 24-7. I don't know. I mean, Florida football, oh my goodness. You got to feel bad for them. I mean, this is like their 3rd bowl game in the last 4 years. They just have no chance. They're all opting out. There's no way. I mean, Florida football, they don't even have 200, or they did have 219 total yards of offense, but Oregon State, I have no clue how that line came down. Anthony Richardson was out, their top offensive lineman was out, and their top defensive tackle was out, and the line ballooned to 11 points, and then it got bet down. Oh, you know what I think it was? I think Oregon State's maybe their starting quarterback was out. Maybe that's what it was, because it went back down to 8.5. But it doesn't matter. Oregon State wins 30-3. We were all over that. It's just there's too many players out for Florida. there's really nothing to analyze. Jack Miller, the former Ohio State quarterbacks. Speaking of Ohio State quarterbacks, guys, I don't know if people follow recruiting. That was a pretty epic day in recruiting. Ohio State lost the number one overall player. And by number one player, I mean like legitimate, like number one in every ranking in 2024. And he's a quarterback, and he's probably going to Nebraska. So real interesting today with the stuff going on. But, good win for Oregon State. That caps off a really nice year. My first projection on their final AP rank, I think they'll be ranked 13th. I think that's a fair ranking for Oregon State in terms of them in the final poll. And then, guys, I was all over it. Fresno State annihilating Washington State, but this was an epically bad performance by Washington State. I warned people. I said they were missing their top two receivers, and it wasn't even remotely close. So overall, Washington State had 182 yards of total offense in this game. I thought they had less than that. Okay, it must have updated. But they end up losing 29-6 to Fresno State. And guys, this Fresno State team at 10-4, you gotta rank them in the final AP poll. They need to be ranked at least at 25 or something. If they would have had their starting quarterback throughout the entire season, this is a team that probably is 12-2, probably inside the top 20, the best team in the Mountain West by far. Such a fun team, just really good, amazing defense. They did get help. Washington State, both of their top receivers opt out. But still, either way, guys, you got to love a good football team. I said Fresno State was on a warpath. I said they would beat Boise State outright. They paid me off. I said they would beat Washington State and cover the 4-point spread, and they oblige to that as well. So my full endorsement to Fresno State football, and I am truly humbled to watch them. They are a beautiful program. And we do have Southern Miss taking on Rice that game. Southern Miss is up by 7 points. We would love to see Southern Miss win that game by at least 7 points. That would help me for my resume and stuff like that. I need that game. So right now, Southern Miss is up 31-24. Rice has made a nice comeback, really going back and forth. I think Rice scored 21 unanswered points. I believe they did. Yeah, they did. They scored 3 straight touchdowns in the third quarter, and Southern Miss has come back, and this is your fun little bowl game. And now Southern Miss is driving a little bit. Well, they're not driving. They're at their own 26-yard line. And then we do have SMU BYU. That game is tied at 10 at half. I'm sorry I'm doing this early. I can't. I've got issues with sleep apnea and stuff like that, and there's like problems where I'll wake up and go back to sleep, and it is an issue I'm currently dealing with, so that's why I'm doing it a little bit early. But the SMU BYU game, guys, the professionals were 100% right. BYU with their backup quarterback, it was not going to be high scoring. The over-under in this game was 65. They were all over the under in this game. And it ends up, it's probably going to hit. I mean, I shouldn't say that yet. Maybe by the time the video comes out, this game ends 62-60. Who knows? But it is 10-10 right now. So it looks pretty good. And then North Texas, Boise State. My goodness. You want to talk about an overall line change? I mean, Boise State, more and more and more and more and more. They were -7, then they were -10. Now they're -12. It just won't stop. Nobody will. I mean, the problem for North Texas, they ended the season really bad. Yeah, North Texas ended the season terribly. So, yeah, I would expect Boise State. That game is just kicking off. I would expect Boise State to win that game very easily, personally. And then you do have, looking at the NFL games that happened, guys, the crazy Vikings win over the Colts. That game would not end. My goodness. That game just dragged. The overtime was so boring. See, they're going to hype that game up now. Guys, they keep saying it was the biggest comeback in NFL history. Like, they're trying to make it epic, but no, if you actually watched it, I was like, no, this is not a good game. It's just boring. There's nothing going on. And the Vikings end up winning that game in overtime. And the overtime was a complete just I mean, I don't even know how. Listen, the Vikings self-imploded, and I've never seen a team self-implode like that in the first half. That was crazy. The Colts didn't do anything. They just let the Vikings self-implode. You had a pick. What was it? A pick six. You had a punt blocked for a touchdown. You had a fumble, whatever, and then the Browns beat the Ravens. And guys, I was all over it. I can't tell you how many people I saw say the Ravens were good value +3. I said it's simply not going to happen. Not with their backup quarterback, not against this Browns team. It wasn't going to happen. The Ravens were due for a loss. Now I'm starting to read the NFL correctly. It did take me 15 weeks. It did. But I'm finally starting to read the NFL correctly. And it looks like my parlay is about to hit. I got a little ace in my sleeve. Guys, I have an ace in my sleeve when it comes to the bowl season. If you go in on Ohio State money line, that is an ace up your sleeve. And guys, I've been talking to like college football connoisseurs and these people. They say, listen, I mean, Ohio State's winning this game. It's not because you take a look at the mismatch that with Marvin Harrison Jr. versus whoever. That Georgia defense, the secondary, they're not good. Jalen Carter is another Trayvon Walker. It's all athleticism, no production. No one's worried about him. So, guys, when you talk to the real college football experts, they say, listen, you know, Ohio State is significantly better than this Georgia team. It's going to get real bad for Georgia. You look at what LSU did to them. I'm saying I'm relaying the message that they're telling me. And these people are like 90% against the spread. Like 90%. Luka Doncic is out for the Mavericks and they're beating the Cavaliers. Isn't that amazing? Let's take a look at some of these other games going on right now. We got some good college basketball. The North Carolina Ohio State game. Chris Holtmann. I mean, what's going on? Chris Holtmann is just a clown, dude. I can't do it anymore with him. North Carolina wins that game in Madison Square Garden. See, look at this. See, look at this. Nobody cares about all this. Can I see scores? Where are the scores? I don't need to see this. There's no score. Oh, I almost missed it. The Deion Sanders Celebration Bowl. And Deion Sanders lost, and Vegas lost so much money on that game. So there's an interesting little stat about that Jackson State game. I mean, so Jackson State is 12-0 going into that game, the Celebration Bowl. Deion Sanders takes the Colorado job. He brings his son, who is the starting quarterback for Jackson State, to Colorado. They're not even game planning. Jackson State opens that game as 17-point favorites. Where did that line close? It closed at 14. Wow, I thought it would go lower. I mean, they weren't even game planning for NC Central. And NC Central ends up winning the game outright. But yeah, that was a great value. If you could get NC Central, who was 10 or 9-2 coming into that game against, I mean, Deion Sanders and his son basically saying they're going to, go. I mean, they're at Colorado. They're moving on, and they still have to play a game. They've got to fly back to, where's that game? Where was that game? Atlanta, Georgia? That doesn't make sense. Oh, it was at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Yeah, that's where the Peach Bowl is. Guys, that Mercedes-Benz Stadium, oh my goodness. You really think they would, that's the best they can do, really? That's the best they can do. You guys know the Atlanta Braves Stadium is called Truist Park? What kind of a word is truest? It's not true. You actually look it up and look up the pronunciation. I saw a commercial today and it's Truist Park. Truist? That's not even a word. So I don't even know what that is. Oh, Rice got the ball back. Guys, if Rice wins, I apologize. Listen, I apologize to Rice football. I did disrespect them. I am sorry about that. But yeah, some of these, wow, Pepperdine basketball is so good. Pepperdine is underrated. I think were they underdogs in that game? They're going to beat Grand Canyon. Oh, Drake and St. Louis. Oregon basketball is underrated. So Oregon basketball has 3 former 5-star centers on their team. I don't know if they're all playing, but I did read that somewhere. So good for Oregon basketball. That's really impressive. Kansas beats Indiana. Indiana in basketball. Trace Jackson Davis had 9 blocks for Indiana. I think he's a junior now, Trace Jackson Davis. He was a 5-star, the one and done, right? These guys are one and dones and then they stay for 5 years. Oh, he's a senior. Trace Jackson Davis. No, but Indiana was overrated this year. I agree with that. Rutgers is a good basketball team. They crush Wake Forest. Gonzaga beats Alabama. Guys, does anyone else find it annoying that Alabama is good at basketball now? It's just annoying. Like, really? Yeah, it's a little pompous. It's whatever. Good to see Gonzaga get that win. Houston beats Virginia. I said, listen, get in on Houston, minus the 2.5. Virginia's due for a loss. They're not going to be able to keep this undefeated streak. They can't score the ball good enough. And that's exactly what happened. Houston, I think, is still the best team in college basketball, even after they lost to Alabama. What is Florida State loses to St. John's? Oh, Florida State is now 3-10 on the year. So good for Florida State. They got some wins. They were 1-9, I think, at one point. Wow, Texas Tech beat Jackson State 102-52. Unbelievable. But that Michigan basketball is not good this year. Michigan is playing just bad teams. They're barely winning. UCLA beat Kentucky. Oh, Kansas State won by 15. Yep. I tweeted about it. I said take Kansas State minus the 3, or was it 2.5? Wow, did Clemson crush Richmond? So, guys, those are just some updates right there. The other thing I saw with hockey, the Boston Bruins are 17-0 at home. I saw that factoid because the Blue Jackets, whatever. I don't watch hockey, but, I mean, that's pretty impressive, 17-0 at home. But they do that thing in hockey where if it goes to overtime and you lose, it's not a loss. It basically counts as a tie. So let's say you're 2-2-0, right? Just like in the NFL, you're 2-2, but then you have 0 ties, and it's hockey. So it's 3-3, and they play a 5-minute period, or actually, no, they do play a 5-minute period, and then they go to a shootout. So either way, after the 3 periods, the regulation, if you lose in any of the overtime or in the shootout, you get a tie. You don't get a loss. Which is you know what? It's actually, I don't know. I don't know, because I know hockey does the whole points thing. I don't really know how they do it. But this is good news here. Rice is going to have to punt, it looks like. So if Southern miscovers in this game, I also need the Buffalo Bills to win. I need the under to hit in this game. See, there's too much scoring in it. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this video. We'll see what happens with these bowl games and stuff, but make sure you're following me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description.